Hey guys, today I'd like to cover a quick Lightroom tutorial for a fast, easy workflow to go from this to this. This has 5 easy steps, and I will cover them all in a very high level way so that there's enough detail for you to follow along and to mimic the workflow, but I will create separate videos for many of these subjects as they are a little deeper than what you would get in a quick overview. The first step is adding your photos. What you want to do is come up here to add photos in the top left and click add photos and hit browse. Now once you find the photos you want to add, you're going to select them, hit review for import, and it will show you the photos that you selected. And then the top right there is a button that says add, and that has a number and then photos, and it'll have the number of the photos that you have selected. Now I already have these in Lightroom, so I'm going to hit cancel, but if you were importing these for the first time, you would hit import. One thing about photos is I would keep them in an organized place. As you can see on my left here, I've got them by year and I also have them by month. So once you've imported your photos, step 2 is to select your photos and mark the rejects. Now this step is important because what you can do is you can easily pare down any number of photos to a manageable number, and then you can focus on the photos that really deserve your time and effort and not spend time on photos that you really don't need. As I scroll through my photos, I've got them down here in the film strip and I'm just using the arrow keys to scroll through them. You'll have situations where you might have several photos but they're all about the same. You really don't want to edit all of them. Usually what I do is I will scroll through and I will have my hand on the 1, my left hand on the 1, and then also on the X. And any photo that I find that I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to edit that, I'm going to hit 1. And then if I find one that, for example, this one, her eyes are closed, not very good, and I already have a couple photos that are quite a bit better. So this one I don't even want to keep on my computer. I'm going to hit the X key, and if you look down here, that will flag it as a reject. So now I'm just going to scroll through here. That's another one I'm going to flag as a reject. I've got these photos here, and you can see that this one I'm going to flag as a reject, and this one I'm going to edit. So I hit the 1 on this one and the X on this one. And so what I'm doing is I'm just quickly going through my photos and deciding, okay, this one, you can see it's a little blurry, not very sharp. I'm gonna hit X on that. And then this one here is the same thing. She's kind of in the middle of saying something. Is same here, not very good. But this one is nice and this one is nice, and I think this one's a little closer. I'm gonna choose that one, and there's not really any point in doing both of these photos because if I have this photo here, then it's virtually the same photo. So I'm going to only select one of those, and see I've got some pictures of some flowers here. As you can see, this is almost the same photo, these right here, and I'm going between them thinking, okay, I like this one a little more, so I'm going to select that one to edit and then just ignore the others. These ones, not very good. I'm not going to worry about them right now. They're not blurry or anything, but let's see, this one right here, for example, let's see. Here's a good photo. I'm going to mark that as a 1, and then these other ones, I'm going to X those so that they get marked as rejects. Same thing with that one. So you can just go through your photos and see that, okay, see that one's clearly better than these, so I'm going to mark these as rejected, and then I'm going to I'll keep that one. So this one, junk photo, this one's good though, I'm going to mark that as a 1. So you just go through and X all the ones that aren't very good and put 1s on the ones that you want to edit. So now that we've done that, we can come up here to our filtering and we can click on that, and then we can come up here and sort either by rating or by flag. And since I hit X on a bunch of them, I'm going to click that and show all my rejects. See, these are all the ones I rejected, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go to delete 14 photos. And it'll give you this warning that says you can restore deleted photos, but after 60 days they're permanently deleted. That's fine. We already have better photos of all of those, so there's no point in keeping them. Now what I'm going to do, I've got all my photos, the ones I selected as well as the ones that I didn't mark. I'm going to come up here again, and I'm going to do 1 or better. So now I can pare it down to the photos that I want to look through and determine which ones I want to edit. So I think between these two, we'll edit this one here. And then this other one, all I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click on the star again to unstar it and see how it automatically goes away, because it's no longer rated 1 star or better. So here I'm going to right click on these for the sake of before and after, and I'm going to duplicate 10 photos. Okay, so there's my photos I just duplicated, and what we'll do is we'll edit one of these and not the other one. Alright, so now that we've got our photos selected, we've deleted all the rejections, and we have picked the ones that we would like to edit. Our next step is to actually make the adjustments. The first adjustment we're going to make is to crop the photo. If you do a really good job of taking your photo, you should not have to do hardly any cropping. But you know, this is reality, and especially if you're taking photos of children running around and playing, you're going to end up with some amount of cropping that is required. If you're thinking about doing something like on Facebook that most people are going to be on their cell phones, 16:9 is a good aspect ratio to use. And you see how there's a square here? That's the part of the photo that we're going to keep. And there is if you move your mouse out to the side one way or the other, you're going to get the 2 little arrows that kind of go in an arc. And if you click, you can rotate it. Now, I don't want to rotate it. I think the straightening is fine on this. So I'm going to hit enter, and there's my cropped photo. The second adjustment is going to be up here on the right. There's the edit tab up here in the top right, and this is going to give you your main editing features in Lightroom. So what you want to do is come over here, and the first section we're going to use are these sliders here under the light heading. I don't usually mess with the exposure or contrast. Sometimes I will adjust the exposure if I purposely underexpose the photo so that I could get a faster shutter or something, but usually I'm going to leave those as is. And what I typically am going to do is take the highlights all the way down and the shadows all the way up. And then on these 2 sliders, whites, blacks, you're going to hold Alt, and you're going to move this one up until it starts to show up on your screen. Okay? And then you're going to take this one and hold Alt and slide it down until it does the same thing. And so we can go ahead and look at our before and after. So we've got a little more contrast. So now that we've done that, we with the highlights down, shadows up, and then we hold Alt and move this one up until it starts to show through. And you can see the sun is hitting right here, and this one down until it starts to show through. Now you can adjust these without holding Alt, and that's fine. But you know, usually you can tell when you've gone too far. I like to just barely let them show through, and maybe even on the whites bring it back a little bit. Okay, so that's your light section where you're adjusting the lighting in your shot. So now once we've done the lighting section, we come down here and we have the color section. Really, it's what I'm going to be doing here is white balance. Your camera is going to have some assumed settings that it picks. Usually I'm just going to switch to daylight and then slide this back and forth until it looks natural. Now you can just go one way then the other way, and it's clearly that's way too warm, that's way too cold. Somewhere in the middle it's going to look very natural and healthy. So there we go. And then here Let's bring the magenta up a little bit. Again, sometimes just go way down, way up, and go, okay, where in the middle makes sense. So once we've done that, let's check our before and after now. We've done our crop, we've done our light section, now we've done our color section to adjust the white balance. We can come down, and there's an effects section where you can adjust things such as texture, clarity, dehaze. Clarity is going to kind of increase the difference between different pixels near each other, and this one will kind of decrease it. I usually don't mess with clarity, and if I do, it's going to be just a little bit. Usually what I like to do is put a slight vignette here to the left, and I'll go ahead and slide it all the way dark, all the way light. I don't usually want either of those. I like to slightly darken the edges so that it brings your eyes closer to the center of the photo. This is a personal preference. You don't have to do it. You can lighten them if you want. Once you've done your effects, come down to your detail section. Now, sharpening is going to increase the sharpness between pixels. And by the way, Control Z is undo. So, in noise reduction, if you look at a lower light area, you can see there's, I don't know how well you can see this, there's a lot of graininess in this photo just from the electrical noise in the camera. So usually we turn this up some, but we don't want it up too high, because what it will do is it will smooth out the photo too much. And sometimes that's the effect you're looking for. Usually when I edit photos, I want it to look like the best version of the photo you took, and I don't want it to look like I turned it into a photo that never existed. There's the amount of sharpening I'm going to add. That's a very personal preference. Usually I also click these on. I like it to know which lens it's that I used and compensate for any inherent weaknesses in the lens. And that's usually all I do. So we can go from our original photo to our updated photo, and you can always come back here and readjust these sliders, especially see we put the vignette on here that darkens the edge, and so move those a little bit. White balance, I think that's fine. So there you go. There's our before, after, same exact photo. And once you do this a few times, it will be very quick. Now the last thing you do is export. This right here is your share button in the very top right of the screen, and all you do is you click that, and you're going to pick the size of file you would like to export. If you're just wanting to put it on Facebook or social media, this small JPEG should be perfectly sufficient. If you want to print it, I would do full size and just get the highest quality file I can. You just click the file that you would like, and then select the folder that you would like to save it in, hit select folder, and you will have a file waiting for you. Lightroom has an enormous amount of capability, but I think its main strength is that it can be very fast, and you can also copy settings from one photo to another. What you can do is you can go to one photo, hit Control C, select another photo that has essentially taken in the same lighting, and hit Control V, and you can paste in your settings. And now that I've done that, I can go ahead and crop this one to 16:9, and now I've got another photo, and I can come through and custom adjust these. Just see, this one seems like a little bit of a lighter photo, so but there you go. Now I've got two edited photos, so I'm gonna go through this whole process on another photo real quickly. Let's do this firework photo from 4th of July. So got my photo. And this is another reason to shoot in RAW, because when you get a JPEG, you're basically gonna get what you see here. Whereas if you shoot in RAW, let's go ahead, we'll crop later because we want to bring up more of the detail first. We'll bring our highlights all the way down, shadows all the way up. We're going to hold Alt and move this slider up until you start to see it come through. Now, because this is a firework, I'm fine with more of it being overexposed. And now I'm going to hold Alt and pull this down, and same thing, this is at nighttime, it's very dark outside. I'm going to pull more of this down so that the dark night sky is actually completely dark and has no data. And same thing with these white spots here. I'm fine with those being blown out because it's a firework, it's not a picture of a person. So now we can come down here, see the as shot. I like to go to daylight and then adjust it from there. I think that's clearly too warm, so I'm going to bring it down some. Right there, and then I'm going to take out some of this magenta. It seems one thing to, if you're not sure what to do, just go all the way down, all the way back up, and then kind of move it back and forth until it looks about as natural as possible, or really until you like it. Usually you can kind of tell when you've gone too far in a given direction. Bring my vignette down a little bit. Noise reduction. So you can see on the ground, this is a very noisy photo. I think we turned up the ISO pretty high in order to get the correct exposure. I'm just going to bring this up quite a bit. I don't particularly care if this one's over smooth or not. It's, you know, it's a firework. And then we're going to activate those. Adjust the white balance a little bit. I think that's good. So there's your adjusted photo from this to this. And let's go ahead and crop it. 2:3 is really good. 16:9 is what pretty much all cell phones use at this point. So I like to stick with 16:9 if it makes sense. So there you go. Quick, easy steps. Now, if I had 30 or 40 or 100 photos that I want to edit, I could copy and paste these edits to those photos and skip that whole process for all the photos that match that. Once more, I'll just go ahead and do this at full speed. We got this photo at an orchard, we're picking apples. Highlights down, shadows up. Let's go ahead. I think I'm going to crop that corner out, and so that's why I'm not going to worry about. There we go. There we go. White balance, we're going to daylight, make it a little warmer, and you don't always have to adjust the green or the tint, but you definitely want to make sure it's correct. I skipped, here we go. So if this, let's see here, crop, I'm gonna go with 2:3. Gonna bring in that just the corner just a little bit. And there we go. That to that. So, well, I think that's it for this video. Appreciate you guys joining me. If you've got any questions of how I do stuff, let me know. I'm going to do a video on white balance specifically. I'm going to also do a video on action shots and a video on taking photos of flowers so that you can go from a photo like this to a photo like this. I've been doing photography for about 14 years and mainly focused around candid family photography. Just trying to, you know, capture the moments as they come by and not spend too much of my life in Photoshop or in Lightroom. So I'm going to try to put out more videos about budget photography, about quick and easy photography, and about just kind of beginning photography. If you don't want to go and get a degree in photography, but you want to learn how to take better photos of your family and kids, and even with a cell phone, you don't need an expensive SLR. Cell phones take great photos now, and knowing how to take photos and have good lighting is much more important than which camera you use. The camera does matter, the lens does matter, but if you don't know what you're doing, you can take really high quality photos of poor compositions or just weak photos, and if you've got a good understanding of photography, you can take high quality, good photos with just about anything. So thanks for joining. If you have any interest in family photography, budget photography, and really easy basic how-tos, please like and subscribe to the channel so that I can keep making videos. Thanks guys.